As a spiritual abuse survivor, do you ever find yourself holding back from relationships and commitments? Do you ever wonder if this holding back is fueled by healthy caution or unhealthy paranoia? In this video, I'm going to be answering this question, which is a common issue that people who have survived spiritual abuse face. My name is Dr. Felicia, and I'm a licensed psychologist and owner of Skill Set Counseling, where I focus on the treatment of OCD, spiritual abuse, and cultural abuse. And today's video is going to be within the domain of spiritual abuse. So, back to the question at hand. How can you tell when you are in relationships with people, or as you're just navigating the world, whether you are being driven by healthy caution or unhealthy paranoia? Like I said before, this is a completely normal question that anybody would be likely to ask after going through any kind of abuse, and especially spiritual abuse. It's also important to remember that there is no right or wrong answer to this question. And if you've worked with me before, if you understand, my approach to treating spiritual abuse recovery, you'll understand that there's never a straight line trajectory in terms of recovery. You may switch between extremes. Sometimes people find that they are taking a few steps forward and a few steps back, and nobody in the process of recovery does healthy things all the way, all the time. Okay. So that being said, it's normal to have a degree of mistrust and a degree of caution. And what this video is going to help you do is to help you understand, okay, which one is it? Is it healthy caution, unhealthy paranoia, and help you to understand how this whole process works, basically. So let's jump in. So what are some ways that you can see healthy caution in play after you've gone through spiritual abuse? Well, the first way this can look is by you really vetting people and really waiting before you just leap in, right? Sometimes after people have been through really difficult experiences with people, they kind of go between one or two extremes. One is just to have a knee-jerk reaction of saying yes to everything, being a little bit naive and interacting with people. And then the other extreme is just saying no, blocking out everybody, blocking out everything, and just kind of having a very rigid way of interacting with the world. When you're exhibiting healthy caution, one thing to remember to do is to always pause. You don't have to make a decision on the spot. You don't have to make any kind of commitment on the spot. And with healthy caution, you are allowing yourself to make a decision, not being driven out of reflex, but doing whatever you're going to do with intent and purpose. Okay, so that's one way that healthy caution can show up when you are navigating a spiritually abusive experience. Okay, and so when you take that time, when you actually make that commitment or decline that commitment, enter in that relationship, or decide you're going to hold back, you know that you've done that from a healthy place and not from a place of reflex. Okay. So before I continue, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so already, to take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video. And what this does, it helps get this video, as well as similar other videos, to other people who can benefit from this content. So if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, share, and comment. So back to what I was talking about before, healthy caution or unhealthy paranoia. Unhealthy paranoia can look like assuming the worst about everybody and assuming the worst about every situation. And again, when I say this, I'm not saying this from a place of judgment or saying that this is a bad way of doing things. Being very cautious and even feeling paranoid sometimes is a normal aftermath of going through spiritual abuse. Okay. The problem with that, when people engage in this type of way of protecting themselves, it's not really done intentionally. You're not working and operating from a place of health and a place of intention and a place of purpose. It's more of like a knee-jerk reaction. And so sometimes when people are operating this way, they feel sad because they feel like they've missed out on certain opportunities, which is understandable. The good news is, like I explained the trajectory before, we're going to take a few steps forward and a few steps back, and that's okay. It's also important to remember too that when you are operating from a place of caution, you understand that if you can always change your mind, right? So when you delay making a commitment, when you delay getting into a relationship so that you can gather all the data and figure out what you want to do, you're not saying no, you're not saying yes, you're just waiting. And it's also important to remind yourself when you are using healthy caution that more opportunities can arise, right? It's not like if you say no to this or you say yes to this, you are forever doomed. And that's really important to remember. Now, this can also be hard to incorporate because the message that you get from spiritually abusive environment is that you have to do what I say, right? Or, when someone wants to take their time with something, just exhibit and exercise their own independence and autonomy, that's frowned on by the spiritually abusive environment. So when you are operating from a place of healthy caution, it's good to remind yourself that you're on nobody's timetable. You're on no one's timeline. You can decide what you want to do and when you want to do it. Another concern that I hear from some people is that they think that they may have missed out on opportunities and relationships, even from a place of healthy caution. And that's understandable. But what I found, just in my experience and from talking to other people, both personally and professionally, is that the healthy people stick around, right? They understand boundaries. And so let's say you hold back from engaging, or interacting with somebody, kind of pursuing a friendship. And then later on, you find out, like, I think this person's a safe person. I think I can trust them enough to, explore a friendship with them. The healthy person usually will be there for you and they'll understand your hesitation. They won't take it personally. But if you think about it, spiritually abusive people, they want commitments. They want to control you. They want you to say yes and on their schedule. And so you can find that if you are being cautious and you're deciding, well, I'm not sure about this relationship, and that person is no longer there, they judge you, they may not be the best person to have pursued a friendship with in the first place. So another thing I want you to remember is that healthy people get it and they'll still be around, regardless of what decision you make for the most part. So that's important to remember. It's also important too to be flexible and to be kind to yourself. Sometimes people, they will judge themselves very harshly because they are showing caution or they're not so ready to jump into something. And it's important to remember that you've been through a really challenging, life-changing experience. And so it's going to take time before you decide, what you're going to do. It's going to take time for new and healthy friendships to form. And the types of commitments that you'll probably connect with are going to be different too. So it's really important to treat yourself with kindness and to treat yourself with compassion as you are discovering what you're going to do during this journey. Okay, so when you think about that, I'd like for you to take a moment and think about a recent interaction that you had with somebody. Did you feel like you were operating from a place of caution, or did you feel like you were operating from a place of paranoia? So take a moment to think about that. If you were operating from a place of maybe paranoia and assuming maybe the worst about somebody or the situation, I don't want you to beat yourself up about it. What I would say instead is that realize that there are always going to be new opportunities, and whatever you said no to or whatever you just shut down, another similar opportunity can come up. Another thing I'd like for you to ask yourself is that when you felt like you were operating from a place of paranoia, what were some of the I guess, warning signs to you in your head when you felt like you were being paranoid? And that's also really important to pay attention to because those could point to underlying triggers that you may not have resolved yet. So, I would encourage taking a journal, piece of paper, and just writing that down and thinking, okay, well, why did I do that? You're not doing this from a place of judgment. It's from a place of curiosity and a place of exploration, right? So the important thing here is progress. over perfection. And I'm going to ask you another question. Think about a time when you operated from a place of healthy caution and when you felt like you were operating from a place of health and intention. So I want you to think about that for a second. Now that you've thought about that example of when you were being cautious in a healthy way, what were some of the red flags that you saw? What were some of the things that caused you to take a pause and take a minute and wait before making a decision or commitment? That's really important because what you're doing in these moments is you're training yourself to use the critical thinking skills that were shamed out of you in the spiritually abusive environment. So it's really important to take inventory of what our successes were and also what our failures are because it helps us learn. I don't want you to look at these things as mistakes, but rather learning opportunities. So back to the healthy caution. Think about a time when you were you exhibited healthy caution, and then also ask yourself, what did I learn from this? What kind of principles can I do to keep strengthening my critical skills or critical thinking skills rather, and just being assertive and demonstrating good boundaries. Okay, so I want you to take all those things into account. And then I would love to hear from you all in the comments as well. What tips can you give other people to help them distinguish whether they're acting out of healthy caution or paranoia? Okay. And also, I'd like for you, for all of you who are watching and are commenting, kind of help people understand from your experience, what does operating from a place of healthy caution look like for you? Okay. If you would like to gain more tools on your recovery from spiritual abuse, go to my website, skillsetcounseling.com, where you can book a free consultation. You can also click on the link in the description box, and that will take you to my website where you can also book a free consultation. I hope you have a wonderful day that is filled with peace and joy. Bye-bye.